Welcome to episode 181 of the Stretty cast. I'm Brian Murphy and we are on the coach in Istanbul heading towards the stadium. Biblical levels of rain, thunder, lightning. The weather is absolutely fucking horrendous. Reminds me of Manchester. UEFA currently doing pitch inspections. Rob Dawson's confirming the game is going ahead as things stand. But there is a possibility he gets called off, which would be pretty disappointing considering we've travelled all this way to attend. Then again, I suppose it would give us an excuse to come back again. We're fresh off the heels of a fantastic victory against Everton at the weekend. Alejandro Garnacho scored an absolute worldly, quieting the Everton fans early doors. Anthony Martial trying to suck us all back in again, doing his best to convince us he is a striker, but I'm pretty sure he's inside his hotel room at the moment looking out the window thinking, no black gloves are going to make me want to get up for this one tonight. Fuck this, it's piss and rain, I don't want to play. Don't be fooled by Anthony Martial's little dink over the keeper, he's still a shithouse. I'm joined on my travels, as usual, James Hallis, Andy Palmer, and the interesting and very sober Mick Kieran. Andy, how have you found Istanbul so far?
Brian, it's fantastic. Absolutely love it. It's been on the piss for the last 2 days, haven't we? So it's haven't really seen much of this city, but I've seen a lot of bars, which is fantastic.
Of the sightseeing you have done, Andrew, what's the best sight you've seen so far?
The Irish bar beside the hotel. I think it stood out for everyone.
There's rumours of people getting a rather hefty bill in a bar, and the bill may or may not have been completed. Can you refute those allegations?
We didn't pay a bill in the bar and we legged it, so fuck them.
Tell us what you reckon tonight. It's a game where conditions definitely aren't optimal for sure for a Champions League game. The atmosphere looks like it's going to be mental, to put it bluntly. I saw a few things up from the Turkish or from the Galatasaray ultras preparing for tonight. Welcome to your worst nightmare and whatnot. So United are usually a team this season where we haven't really performed too well under pressure, especially in a big atmosphere. Copenhagen we started quite well, but then we fell apart again. How are we looking tonight? What do you think the result's going to be?
I think we'll win tonight, Brian. I think it'll be 2-1 MUFC.
James, back it up. What do you think?
If it gets played, that is. I think it'll suit us, the conditions. I think 2-0, couple of scrappy goals, and yeah, we'll go on to Bayern then in 2 weeks.
Mick, do you back up the boys? Do you think it's going to be a victory for United tonight?
100%. I think Martial's come off the bench, scored a winner. Don't worry about it. The bit of rain, be grand. Don't worry about it. Bit of rain, be grand.
A lot of confidence on the bus. Not too sure myself. I know this is a dodgy one, although coming off the back of that Toffees victory, it can only give you a bit of positive thoughts, I suppose. Kobbie Mainoo looked absolutely fantastic. Probably one of the best debuts I've seen from a kid for us in a long time. So Kobbie Mainoo coming through, Hannibal Mejbri coming through, Alejandro Garnacho coming through, brilliant academy prospects coming through for the future for the first team. So it's nice to see young lads getting there. Update on traffic. Traffic is something like the M50 coming to Dublin at the moment. It's absolutely fucking horrific. The weather hasn't got any better, and we're 2.5 hours from kick-off. I don't think they're serving alcohol in the bar in the ground, so hopefully we get the result and results go our way, and we can progress through the group stages. Chat to you a bit. Still on the coach to the game. Rumours that the game was going to be called off due to a waterlogged pitch after horrific rain all day. Traffic is horrendous. Been on the coach for about an hour already. We've moved about maybe 3 or 4 kilometres. Still about 45 minutes remaining until we get to the ground. Just heading across the bridge now from what I believe is the old side of the city to the new side of the city. Istanbul's a pretty amazing city, to be fair. It's absolutely massive, really hilly up and down, dense population. Some lovely sights to see. Not that we saw too much of it, but just looking ahead at the lineup tonight. Andre Onana coming off a really good performance against Everton. He was fantastic. To be fair to the fella, after a ropey start, he started to look a lot better the last few games. Still not sure about Dallow right back. You'd imagine Wan-Bissaka comes back in. Maguire centre half, partnered by Lindelof, and Shaw, which has been a great addition back to the team again, left back. It's up in the air if Kobbie Mainoo starts. Hopefully he does. But again, coming off a long-term injury, it's a lot to ask of a lad to play games in quick succession like that. Then again, he was taken off the weekend, so that might be a hint that he was being kept for tonight. Really, really promising young player. I'm really looking forward to see what he can offer to the side and how he can develop. But by all accounts, he looks the business so far, and it's only based off his debut and a couple of pre-season appearances. But from watching him play for the academy, just looks like such a clever, composed midfielder. Garnacho left most likely. On the right hand side, you're probably looking at Marcus Rashford again. Bruno in the middle, and then who partners Mainoo? Scott McTominay possibly. Then of course this question up front: does Martial start, or is Rasmus Højlund fit? Højlund the man in form in the Champions League for us. Not scored in the Premier League so far domestically, but in the Champions League he's banging them in. So a night like tonight, a rainy pitch, that'll suit him. That'll suit him, grabbing half chances. So hopefully that's the side we'll see. Ten Hag is back on the sideline after being omitted from his managerial duties in the bench the weekend for yellow cards. Funny enough, I think that's actually a new rule to come in this season, but he accumulated yellow cards was the reason he wasn't on the sideline. So we're still quite away from the ground. Traffic is moving really, really slowly, but hopefully we can get there soon. It looks like the rain is starting to hold off a little bit. We're getting police escort actually to the ground by the looks of it. Fancy looking Range Rover, blue lights, police jeep beside us as we travel over the bridge still. So let's hope United can put in a big performance tonight, and again, as we've said a few times, get this season back on track. I mean, we're doing well in the league the last few games. Tonight's really important though. Tonight's European qualification decider. Have to win, no two ways about it. But looking at the Galatasaray fans, their ultras, the atmosphere, it's a big ask. Going away from home in these conditions, waterlogged pitch, still not really a fully firing team against an absolute cauldron of an atmosphere. It has to be one of the most intimidating grounds in Europe to visit for both players and fans, of course. We're still looking forward. It's been an interesting European away game so far. At least we're not going to Spain all the time as we were doing there for quite a while, so I start seeing some other parts of the world again. So we'll leave you with that. Here we go. Big performance wanted. Come on, the Reds. Finally got into the ground after a bit of a nightmare trying to get in with a phone ticket. United emailed the tickets out. Obviously we were advised to print them, but me being me, of course I didn't, and I wouldn't scan, so bit of an issue, but finally got there. Going back on the team lineup, it's just been announced, and I did forget that Rashford got sent off, of course, so he obviously won't be starting. The locals are welcoming us with chants of fuck you, Manchester. Decent enough looking ground. There's a bit of a shithole inside it. Toilets are stinking. A canister of water, or I don't know what you'd call it, is €2.50 or €5 for a small Pepsi poured out of a big bottle. Bit rich, really. Atmosphere is starting to build here now, to be fair. Ground isn't even half full yet, but it's getting loud. Should be one to enjoy. Should be an interesting game. Yeah, looking forward to this atmosphere.
Hold on.
It's going to kick off the second half here in Rams Park. 2-1 United. Alejandro Garnacho with a cracker and Bruno with an absolute screamer. Galatasaray got one back with a free kick. I can see it, I think. Looked like Onana took a big step left. Don't know, hard to know. Hard to see from where we are. You have to think if United get the next goal, we'll put this to bed. If Galatasaray score the next one, we could be in trouble. So big half coming. Rasmus Højlund feeding off scraps again. Doing well, working hard up front, but he's still feeding off scraps. Keeps working hard up. Maguire played quite well so far, I thought. Mopped up a lot of ball at the back. So we've created a bit, in fairness. They haven't created a whole pile, I don't think. They're passing through us quite well, but the only thing is they probably should have had a few bookings. And we've been punished, booking-wise. Bruno and Amrabat getting booked. One particular tackle on Anthony where he got taken out of it. No yellow card for that, which was a bit strange, but still not too worried about it. Hopefully we can see this out. Get an early goal here and put it away. Atmosphere is absolutely electric though, in fairness. It's probably the loudest I've ever heard anywhere. It's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The noise, you can feel their eardrums vibrating with the noise. But again, we did quieten the home fans for a little bit when we scored, so here we go, let's go again. Let's see what we can do. This place has reached fever pitch. Hakim Ziyech scores another. After Scott McTominay put his 3-1 up. Hakim Ziyech's second goal. Onana fumble. Jesus, I was giving him so much praise before the game after such a good performance against Everton. And then I think he's a fault for both goals, to be honest with you. We've been the better side tonight. Just giving away silly free kicks in and around our box. But to put ourselves back to 3-2 again with another silly mistake. Just unforgivable at this level. You can't be doing these things against sides like this, in games like this, with the importance of it. 3-2, plenty of time left in this game, need to see this out. This place is after getting crazy loud. Hopefully we can... That's a foul. Hopefully we can keep fighting against the noise and keep putting a shift in as we have been doing, but this could turn on its head very, very quickly if they score again. It's the morning after the night before. Manchester United 3, Galatasaray 3. Rather disappointing result. 3 European away games. 3 goals scored in each game. 1 point collected. Simply not good enough. You can't go away from home in Europe and score 3 goals and not be coming home with 3 points. Minimum. 1 point at least. But you should be getting 3 points. You're scoring 3 goals away from home. Bayern Munich. Okay, it's Bayern Munich. They're a massive team. You'll probably take that one on the chin a bit. Copenhagen, the red card changed the game. VAR fucked us over. But again, should have won that game. And then last night in Galatasaray, we should have been home and hosed, game dead and buried. But again, silly mistakes, giving away free kicks in dangerous positions. And Andre Onana, who I gave such good reviews of at Everton, just commits suicide again in goals. I mean, 2 very avoidable mistakes. I haven't seen a free kick back yet. But it looked like he took a big step or 2 to the left and got caught. And then the other one was just a shit show. Very, very disappointed not to win that game. Like we played well in patches. We created so many chances to win that game. Towards the end, Pelistri had chances, couldn't put it away, didn't shoot in time. Anthony Martial again shows you just can't depend on him. I mean, scores at the weekend against Everton, then comes back and he just tries to walk the ball into the net, and I can't understand why. I mean, why not just fucking shoot? So frustrating. So frustrating. And that's been the tale of our group stage in the Champions League so far, is frustration. That's silly results and silly decision making. Ten Hag's in-game management gets questioned again. Substitutions. We didn't really have a lot to bring off the bench. I mean, it's a very young bench there. Hugill, Gore, Pellistri. But it's a real kick in the bollocks. Especially going 3-1 up and throw away a 2-goal lead again. Talking about a kick in the bollocks, I'm in a taxi on the way to the airport. I've already been to the airport. Booked a transfer. Left on time. Got to the airport and my passport wasn't in my bag. And I really have no idea how I thought I packed it. And I'm usually fairly vigilant about my passport, but it obviously fell out my bag this morning or last night. And I'm very, very possibly missing the flight home. There's a good chance I don't make this. Considering the distance from Istanbul airport back to where we were staying in Sultan Ahmet area. So yeah, it's been an interesting trip so far. Hopefully I can get on this flight and get back to Ireland, but it's looking dicey. It'll be quite touch and go if I can get through security, passport control, and other security, and then get to the gate in time before the flight closes. So another European adventure. It's possibly looking like this is the last European adventure for the season. A couple of weeks time we play in Bayern Munich and Old Trafford under the lights. That's always enjoyable, so I'll be at that one. But we need results to go our way. We need to win, and we need, I don't know, a draw, or I think Galatasaray have to win or something. But yeah, it's been a fucking really annoying European campaign. It's a group stage where we should really be in second place at this stage, comfortably, and we haven't. So yeah, I'm sure myself and Dale and Sean will dissect it in a bit more detail, pending I get out of Istanbul and I get home in time. Yeah, hopefully everyone's had a safe trip home, and at this stage everyone should be home by now when you listen to this. So I hope everyone got home in time and got home safe and sound with no major dramas. So pending I catch this flight, we'll talk to you on the flip side.
Dale here again on my own, catching up after Brian's trip to Istanbul. Obviously, as Brian touched on towards the end there, we didn't get the result we wanted. A lot of the headlines after the game rightly focus on Andre Onana's mistakes, high profile errors. A goalkeeper I've been defensive of this season, and I understand Eric Ten Hag still has been after the game against Galatasaray, 3-3 draw. I would put 2 of the goals down to Onana's mistakes, but still you could look at them and you could look at, say, the fouls that led to the free kicks from Bruno Fernandes. You could look at Martial. Is he dipping his head for one of them when he could clear the ball? I'm not sure. But ultimately, Onana has been at fault for several mistakes in the Champions League this season. And in the league too, I don't think he started off his time at Manchester United the strongest. I think it's been improved, especially that game last weekend against Everton. Onana was probably one of the most important performers. I don't know how he kept a clean sheet, but he did his job. Whereas midweek, we can't say that was the case. And I think he's made something like he's been at fault for 6 to 7 errors in the Champions League, which is really, really poor. Metrics in the league are far superior. Erik Ten Hag has got on the record to say he's probably the best or second best goalkeeper in the Premier League. I think he still has a lot to prove. I think this is also his player, so Onana's going to get more chances than probably most because he is a Ten Hag player and he spent big money on him. But you can't keep making mistakes like this. Going back to the game itself, it was like repeat of the other Champions League games. Manchester United are simply incapable of holding a lead. And you can't expect to go into Europe's most prestigious competition and leak goals the way we have. On Wednesday night against Galatasaray, you should feel at 2-0 that we have enough. Again, same case in the second half at 3-1. You feel, right, we want to hold on to this lead and get the 3 points that we desperately need. Again, wasn't the case. Threw away leads against Copenhagen. We scored more goals than anyone else in the Champions League this season, but we have just 1 point to show for it. On another note, this team has been criticised, especially in the league, for not scoring enough goals. It's fair criticism, but it's not been the case in Europe, as I've just touched on. So there are positives to take. I think United's performance against Galatasaray was good. Okay, it was, the game itself was very open. For a neutral, it was perfect. It was a great watch. I wouldn't describe it as a great watch myself because I was sat at the edge of my seat. I didn't particularly enjoy the 90 minutes, but it was a spectacle as far as the neutral would be concerned. But we can definitely take positives from it. Defensively, it doesn't come as a surprise that we're leaking goals. We've been doing that in Europe all season. And these are all areas we need to improve on. Whether United can qualify now for the knockout stage is very, very unlikely. It's going to take a win at home to Bayern Munich, and then we're hoping for Copenhagen and Galatasaray to draw, which in itself is maybe a likely outcome. But we need a lot to go our way for that to happen. And then it brings up the conversation, which I'm looking forward to having with the lads, which I should add, Sean is not feeling well at the moment. He's down with the flu. And Brian as well, he's obviously shattered. He's lucky to have made his flight back from Istanbul. I can confirm he did make his flight, so he's resting up and he'll be with us again next week. But we still need to go into that Bayern Munich game. Obviously, Ten Hag will be pushing for a win. But it brings up the conversation about, do we want to be in the Champions League? And selfishly, I do, because it means another European trip after Christmas. When I say that's selfish, I do look at this team, the injuries we've had this season, how we could do with maybe just focusing on the league after Christmas. And I think maybe the Europa League isn't where we want to be come that stage. There is, of course, 5 places up for grabs in the Premier League this season for the Champions League. We need to throw that into consideration when we're looking at whether we're going to get top 4 or not, because we only need to get top 5. If it came down to it for me, I would rather us to be able to focus on the Premier League if it means we can't be in the Champions League or next after Christmas. It's not that at any point this season or even before a ball was kicked I felt we could win the Champions League. It's not that, but it's a competition we need to be in. We need to be making the knockout stage. We need to be competing with the best. But I think looking at our form in Europe this season, we can't really say we deserve to be in that situation. I think we're quite far off away from that. And just briefly again on Onana, I'm not suggesting that I think Ten Hag should be dropping him. I haven't seen enough of our backup goalkeeper to say that he should be playing. I don't think most of the herd on Twitter really have seen enough of him. But people in Turkey, looking at the coverage during the week, they speak really highly of him. So he's obviously no slouch. But again, these problems, I find it really hard to pin it out on just one player whenever they happen. Every week when results don't go our way, it seems like we're pointing fingers at different people. Before it was always Harry Maguire, but it's not Onana now 1 week. It's one of the defenders. Or it's Casemiro when he's fit. Or it's Amrabat. Or it's Bruno Fernandes. And someone who got it a lot too was Marcus Rashford. There's lots of finger pointing going on. So what you can see from that is there's quite a few players that some weeks are letting us down. And it's never just a one. Maybe Galatasaray during the week feels a bit different because of the way the goals were conceded and the way we were holding leads and the way we should have won the game. But look, it's a very, very sour one to take. Bitter pill to swallow. But I do feel we can't dwell on it for too long. We need to quickly realise, look at our form this season. Don't really deserve to be in a position where we're in the knockout stage of the Champions League. Haven't shown that anyway. We've been in positions where we could have, but we just couldn't hold on to those leads. And you expect us to go into the knockout stages and rock up at the Bernabeu? Do something? Not yet. This team's had too many injuries this season, and they're not the only fault. I think in-game management with Ten Hag has been something you could question some games, maybe more games this season than last. And could you put that down to injuries? I'm not sure. Or personnel and having players available. But you look at that game against Galatasaray and that maybe 3-1 up. You're thinking, is there any way we can really close this game out? Because it was still far too open. I know we took off Amrabat for Kobe. Could we have done with 2 of them on the pitch? That was the question I had now in hindsight. It's very easy in hindsight to say these things. I'm speaking at this podcast 2 days after the game or 2 nights after the game, but everyone after the game you're pointing fingers at Ten Hag saying you should have done this, should have done that. There's no point crying over spilt milk. As I say, we move on now. We've Newcastle at the weekend on Saturday night at a convenient time of 8 p.m. at St James's Park. You go into that game, and we shouldn't forget about this, but our momentum at the moment is there. We didn't lose against Galatasaray during the week. I know that means absolutely nothing to our Champions League hopes, because they're in the bin, it seems. But we go into this game after winning 5 of our last 6 league matches. Keep in mind too, in November, we didn't concede a goal in the league. We didn't concede a goal out of 3 games. I think that shouldn't be forgotten as well in this conversation about Onana, when his form in November was really, really strong. Obviously, it's like 1 step forward and 2 steps back for him at the moment, but it is what it is, as I say. Of course, too, going into the game, United have won just 1 of their last 4 visits to St James's Park. That's something that needs to be addressed, and I think a lot of things need to be addressed with this team. Away form from last season. Then you look at our home form this year. Hasn't been much better. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to have done. I kind of wish I had the 2 lads on the podcast with me recording this segment, but just, I guess, a bit of a catch up. Can't bring really any or much optimism to the table right now, but I hope when we're recording next week we're talking about a win over Newcastle and get that boost of positivity that we need again. But look, it's not the end of the world. I don't think this team right now is ready to be competing at the latter stage of the Champions League. I think it still needs work, but no time to panic. Certainly these players too, don't want them walking around in a few weeks now after realising they're out of the Champions League like a bunch of slapped arses and feeling sorry for themselves. Because, yeah, Ten Hag will take responsibility for his mistakes in this. I think he always puts his hands up when he's at fault, especially in the public eye. But these players now need to realise that they've let us down as well. I don't think you can solely point at the manager or coaching staff or one particular player. It's a collective thing. You could look at some of Ten Hag's in game management. Then you look at some of the positions we held in games. You have to look at the players and are they weak mentally? I'm not saying that just on the back of Galatasaray, because as Brian touched on, and we could hear it from the crowd at the Rams Park Stadium, the hostile atmosphere. You play for Manchester United though. They're the games you need to be looking forward to. And we did play well, but it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough in the night. And I feel like I'm just rambling now. So on that note, thanks for listening. And of course, thanks to Brian and the lads for recording material over in Istanbul. I enjoyed the optimism beforehand. Maybe Brian was more of a realist. And then, of course, I didn't enjoy the end of it because the tone of Brian's voice said it all. So look, hopefully 3 points the weekend. We'll be back again next week with another podcast. Look after yourself and keep the red flag flying high.